A very good evening to you all, and many thanks for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. We hope you had yourselves a very productive and insightful day. Now, starting off, these are our headlines. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, assured Rwandans that the country is safe, hence urging them to rest and work hard to develop the country based on what has been achieved in the last 30 years. Prime Minister Dr. Edouard Ngirente demonstrates that regardless of the global shocks, Rwanda kept a positive trend of 6.9% average of rate economic growth for the last 7 years. We're glad to have your company once again, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Abera. Now, the President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency President Paul Kagame, assured Rwandans that the country is safe, hence urging them to rest and work hard to develop the country based on what has been achieved in the last 30 years. Prince Manzi has more on this report.
Security matters were expected in the head of state address at the 19th National Mushyikirano Council. This is after the inflammatory statements from the heads of state of Burundi and DRC emphasizing to destabilize Rwanda. President Kagame reiterates that when it comes to defending the country, no one is set to permit it.
I told our friends, these powerful friends of ours, I've even said it publicly, when it comes to defending this country that has suffered for so long and nobody came to the help, I don't need permission from anybody. To do what we have to do to protect ourselves. I will say it in broad daylight. I have said it to those who matter in this problem.
President Kagame also stressed on how Rwanda has no role whatsoever in the instabilities in eastern DRC. Referring to the hate speeches nagged in neighboring countries, the head of state demonstrated that no place worse than where Rwandans have been 30 years ago, hence no one is to think to put them back in such situation.
Where we have been, 30 years ago, there is nothing worse that can happen to us. Also, that means if you ever put us in a situation where we have to think like it's going back to that time, then we have nothing to lose. We will fight like people have nothing to lose. And somebody will pay the price other than ourselves.
The head of state also emphasized that the country is safe and will always be.
The country is safe, is secure, and will always be. Those who are excited and because I'm told what you see happening in the West and then in the South, they are busy collecting the other poor Rwandans who went out making noise, and they are trying to turn them into some leaders in the future of this country. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because some of them either will be brought here by those people who are sent away. They get tired of them and say, or I'll go and collect them and bring them home and tell them how they were mistaken to live in the first place.
The head of state emphasized that it is surprising for one to accuse Rwanda to support M23 and ignore the FDLR that has spent 30 years in DRC. Prince Manzi, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Prince Manzi, for that report. During the 19th National Mushitirano Council, His Excellency President Paul Kagame also noted that even though Rwanda is a small country, a people can never be small. The head of state also urged the country's youth to build upon the achievements of the last 30 years to help Rwanda to continue developing at a favorable pace. This as the 2024 National Mushitirano Council coincides with the 30th anniversary of the liberation of the country that was attained back in 1994 when the genocide against the Tutsi was halted. Basing on what happened at the time, President Paul Kagame reminded the country's young men and women that the future of Rwanda is now in their hands. He also pointed out that because of the country's unique challenges, Rwandans should continue striving towards their goals without allowing anyone else to deter them. His Excellency Paul Kagame also denounced the practice of providing poor service delivery, criticizing those who provide such services and those who tolerate them, noting that when left unchecked, they can seriously cripple a country's economy. Now, not moving far from the National Mushitirano Council, Prime Minister Dr. Edward Ngirente demonstrates that regardless of the global shocks, Rwanda kept a positive trend of a 6.9% average rate of economic growth for the last 7 years. We have more on this report.
As the Prime Minister presented the key achievements in the implementation of the National Strategy for Transformation, NST1, he demonstrated that the country made various reforms, including tax reforms, for the economy to get back on track.
Our economy has experienced a gradual increase that we are happy about, rising at an average rate of 6.9% per year from the year 2017 to the third quarter of 2023. Your Excellency President Paul Kagame, various measures were taken at the national level to make sure that different projects and developmental programs were initiated for the citizens to make sure it contributes to the growth of the economy. Some of those initiatives include bettering the standards of living for the citizens through maintaining the economic growth, as well as updating the ways in which citizens pay their taxes and community contributions at the local level. That was done in order for income taxes to be paid well, without being a burden to Rwandans, and making sure that the taxes that are supposed to be paid are paid. Your Excellency, the figures show that in the past 7 years, the income tax doubled to the extent that it positively affected the budget, doubling from the year 2017.
Prime Minister Ngirente also demonstrated that a lot has been done for the development of the agricultural sector, where the application of fertilizers almost doubled from 32 kgs in 2017 to 70.3 kgs per hectare annually. This goes with how Rwanda no longer imports seeds, and this prompted a saving of 4 billion Rwandan francs. Cultivated land increased from 48,000 hectares in 2017 to 71,000 hectares. The milk production increased from 700,000 litres in 2017 to over 1 million litres per year. The Prime Minister also tackled on how infrastructures contributed highly in the country's development.
Tarmac roads were built all over in different districts, reaching a length of about 1,600 kilometers. Rwandans know all too well about these roads because they experienced the joy of the reduction of the congestion in the streets. There is also the road of Nyagatare, Kagitumba, Kayonza, Rusumo, Ngoma, Bugesera, Nyanza, Huye, Kibeho. There are other roads that were constructed in Kigali of more than 237 kilometers. In the past 7 years, there was also a significant increase in the tarmac roads that were built.
In the public transport, 200 buses were bought, 100 already operational, and the rest set to arrive next month. In the education sector, 27,000 classrooms were built, while in the health sector, 6 hospitals were constructed and 12 new health centers. Rwanda launched new destinations, and the number of visitors to Rwanda grew from 521,000 in 2021 to more than 1,400,000 in September 2023. Prime Minister demonstrated that those that had not yet achieved are also being expedited.
Dushingiye ku cyerekezo rero cya 2050 kigamije gukomeza kuzamura ubukungu bw'igihugu.
Basing on the Vision 2050 of the continued growth of the economy and bettering the welfare of the Rwandan citizens, some of the things that will be emphasized is the increment in the agricultural production in order to reach the level that we want. Additionally, making sure we increase the opportunities for the youth to find employment, put up more industries and increase its production rate because the ones that we have are not all operational at full capacity, like we hope for. Last but not least, continued development of the health sector and making sure Rwandans have access to proper infrastructure will also be a high priority.
No kugeza ku baturarwanda ibikorwa remezo bigezweho nabyo bizakomeza.
The NST1 was a 7-year-long initiative from 2017 through 2024. It is based on 3 pillars: economic transformation, social transformation, and transformational governance.
Top officials in the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources have announced that food security figure is now above 75% because the production levels have continued to be favorable, but also noted that the challenge now has to do with the proper storage of food supplies to minimize losses. The observation was made during a panel discussion on building a resilient economy for the country that took place on the first day of the year's National Umushyikirano Council. It was also noted that agricultural productivity must nevertheless increase even though levels are favorable, with an emphasis on expanding the country's fishery industry. 80% of the population has food security, and the Gira Inka program has continued to improve social welfare, with figures indicating that on average back in 2006, a Rwandan consumed only 20 liters of milk per year, but now that figure has gone up to 78 liters. Top officials from the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning also noted that the global COVID-19 pandemic, devastating as it may have been for many countries, found Rwanda's economy to be strong and extremely resilient to its effects, with women and the youth playing their part to strengthen it as well. As for the health sector, it was observed that the provinces now have hospitals capable of providing services at the national level, with hospitals providing services at the international level located in Kigali City. Two officials from the Ministry of Health that participated in the panel discussion also urged members of the general public to go for testing for non-communicable diseases, especially people over the age of 40, and abstain from the excessive consumption of alcohol beverages, because for our country to develop, its people must first be healthy. Now, during the first day of the National Umushyikirano Council, participants were given the opportunity to present pressing issues for solutions to be addressed by the country's leadership, including Rwandan students that fled the war in Ukraine to continue their studies in Poland, but are now faced with costs beyond their capabilities. President Paul Kagame immediately instructed the concerned authorities to address the matter to ensure that the students' academic performance is not negatively affected. Other matters raised included insufficient equipment in TVET schools here in Rwanda, feeder roads in poor condition, questions on measures the government is taking to mitigate the effects of natural disasters, improving service delivery, and helping Rwandans in the diaspora to make greater contributions to the country's national development efforts, all of which were addressed by the concerned authorities that were present. Issues were raised by those physically present during the proceedings, others in the provinces through video conferencing, as well as participants living abroad. Now, moving on, there are citizens from the Central African Economic Community, ECCAS, who are proud of the development they have achieved in Rwanda. And on the other hand, there are Rwandans who believe that there are many investment opportunities in those countries, even though there are still obstacles that hinder the movement of people and goods. Crystal Uwase has more on this report.
A Cameroonian investor, George Dingatafon, who is also the CEO of NextGen Developers Limited, one of the private companies in the Central African Economic Community, including Rwanda, urges people to invest in these countries as it is going to improve the bilateral relationship between them.
Very affordable, and to know that it's affordable, we are almost fully booked on our project in Bumbogo, and we want to also use this opportunity to thank the government of Rwanda and our development partner, the Bank de Développement de Rwanda, who has really facilitated us in developing these houses. One of the key things that the government has done, which most government in Africa has not done, is trying to facilitate what we call the off-takers. So the government has also tried to develop the mortgage sector, because this is a big problem for most investors. Because if you develop the houses and the people are not able to take the houses, so how does it work? So the Rwandan government actually saw this problem and now got money to facilitate the mortgage rate, which they have now reduced it to about 10%. Now, Rwandans are now able to take mortgage, a long-term mortgage, and get the houses that we build at a very affordable rate. So the government has done this through BRD.
Gloria Kamanzi-Wizera, the representative of Rwanda in the Traders Association in that community, says that the level of trade in this community is low due to the fact that the movement is blocked. The cost of visas in some of those countries is very expensive, and investing a lot of money in that community is also a challenge.
In the area of ICT, in the area of tourism, it's not quite advanced, the tourism. They have unexploited, I would say, forests, there's no organized tourism structure. And we talk of construction as well. We talk of agriculture. They are really trying, but still they have some gaps. Yes, and in terms of services, they have strength in certain areas, but there are other areas where we are stronger, whereby we can really take the advantage of investing in the area that we've been doing well in Rwanda.
Due to the fact that the Rwandan airline company Rwandair operates in some of the countries, entrepreneur Jean-Marie Kalima asserts that there are many people from those countries who come to Rwanda to mine precious metal, mainly gold, because it is where they are traded at a fair cost.
We have a very good refinery, gold refinery in Rwanda, where we are showing really the interest to most of those countries. And we started actually receiving some quantities where we want really to make that kind of facility to be able to attract them and get more gold. So, as you know, we want to get some foreign currencies. By that, business will be able to mobilize at least some foreign currencies when it will come to export what we'll be buying from other countries.
The Commissioner for Economic, Trade and Monetary Affairs of the Central African Community, Francois Kanimba, believes that governments should speed up the signing of agreements and their implementation.
Birasaba mu rwego rwa politiki kubyumva no kureba uburyo abantu bakorana.
It requires political will because you find heads of state meeting and taking decisions, but the people in ministries in charge of implementation are not even aware of them. There's lack of communication. We cannot also ignore how the community tries to be in touch with implementers, but there's still need of reinforcing and do a lot because we are delaying.
These 11 countries are inhabited by over 270 million people who speak foreign languages, such as French, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, and are rich in diverse natural resources. Christella Uwase, RwandaTV News.
And on that note, on behalf of the production team as well as the technical team, we would like to thank you very much for sticking with us on RTV News. I bring to you the news was Martina Evera. Stay safe and have a great night.